A terrible story from the hotel. Hey guys, tonight, I want to share with you a story that still gives me chills every time I think about it. It's about an experience I had at a hotel that wasn't your typical overnight stay. You know, as someone who's always up for an adventure, I've stayed in countless hotels around the world. From five-star luxury resorts to the most basic accommodations. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared me for what happened that night. Quick flashes of images. A flickering hallway light, a shadow moving just out of sight, a close-up of my own eye wide with terror. Setting the stage. Last autumn, I was invited to present a paper at an international conference on quantum cryptography. Nerdy, I know, but super exciting stuff. The conference was held in this small European town renowned for its medieval architecture and, as I later found out, its otherworldly occurrences. I rolled into town late in the afternoon. The hotel was supposed to be this grand old building with a lot of history, you know, one of those places that has been around since the 1800s. From the outside, it looked exactly as advertised. Ornate carvings, tall spires, but with a certain neglected charm. Think The Shining, but with a European twist. Walking into the lobby, the first thing I noticed was how empty it was. No other guests, just me and the receptionist. She was peculiar, didn't make eye contact, spoke in a monotone voice, and there was this awkward pause before she handed me the key. "You're in room 237, she said, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Yeah, super comforting. They gave me an actual key, like an old school metal key. No key cards here. That should have been my first clue. I took the creaky elevator up to the second floor. The hallway was dimly lit, and the wallpaper had these intricate patterns that seemed to move if you stared too long. Unlocking the door to my room, I was hit with a mix of old wood, must, and something else I couldn't quite place. The room was vintage, to say the least. Antique furniture, a massive four-poster bed, and an old mirror with tarnished edges. I started unpacking my stuff, setting up my laptop to run some simulations overnight. As some of you know, quantum computations can take ages. I couldn't shake the feeling that the room was off. There were these soft creaks and what sounded like whispers, but I chalked it up to an old building settling. While putting my clothes in the dresser, I found a folded piece of paper tucked away in the back of a drawer. Unfolding it, I read 4 words that sent a slight chill down my spine. "Leave while you can." I laughed it off nervously. Probably a prank or some leftover prop from a previous guest trying to be funny. Ha ha, very funny. As night fell, the noises got weirder. I was lying on the bed, reviewing my presentation slides, when I heard scratching sounds coming from behind the walls. Great, rats, I thought. Just what I needed. Then, footsteps from the room above. Heavy footsteps, pacing back and forth. Which was odd because the receptionist had mentioned that I was the only guest on this side of the hotel. Electrical disturbances. The lights started flickering, nothing too dramatic at first. But then the floor lamp by the window began to strobe rhythmically. My laptop screen flickered, and the Wi-Fi signal kept dropping. Annoying, but again, old building, old wiring. But when the TV turned on by itself, displaying nothing but static, I started to get uneasy. I decided to grab a snack from my bag, but couldn't find it where I left it. In fact, a few of my things seemed to have moved. My jacket was now draped over a chair on the other side of the room. Am I that absent-minded? I wondered. Then I heard water running. The bathroom faucet was on full blast. I hadn't been in there since I arrived. Seeking answers. I picked up the room phone to call the front desk. At first, there was just static. Then, a garbled voice that sounded like it was speaking in another language. I couldn't make out anything. Frustrated, I hung up and tried using my cell phone, but there was no signal. Not even emergency calls. Weird, right? I decided to go downstairs and speak to the receptionist in person. Stepping into the hallway, I noticed it seemed longer than before. Much longer, and the lighting was even dimmer. I walked towards the elevator, but it was out of service. "You have to be kidding me," I muttered. So, I headed for the stairwell. But after walking down one flight, I was back on the same floor. Meeting other guests. As I tried to find an exit, I saw a little girl standing at the end of the hallway, holding a worn-out teddy bear. She looked up at me but didn't say a word. "Hey there, are you lost?" I asked. No response. She just pointed down the hall and then walked around the corner. I followed, but when I turned the corner, she was gone. In her place stood an old man with a stern expression. "You shouldn't be here," he whispered before disappearing into a room. At this point, my rational mind was struggling to keep up. Versus escalation of fear. Deciding that maybe I was overtired or jet-lagged, I headed back to my room. But when I got there, the door was slightly open. I was sure I'd closed it. I pushed it open cautiously. The room was in disarray. My belongings were scattered everywhere. The mirror on the wall had a crack that wasn't there before. "Okay, nope, I'm out," I said aloud. As I hurried to pack my things, I glanced at the mirror. My reflection wasn't matching my movements. I froze. My reflection smiled, even though I wasn't. Then it lifted a finger to its lips as if to say, "Shush." I stumbled back, heart pounding. The walls seemed to pulse, almost like they were breathing. Is this what a psychotic break feels like? From the corner of my eye, I saw shadowy figures darting around. Whispers filled the room, now unmistakably calling my name. "You don't belong here," they sighed. Every rational thought evaporated, replaced by pure fear. I shoved everything into my bag haphazardly. Forget the neatly folded clothes and organized gadgets. I just needed to get out. Now. Attempting to escape, I sprinted into the hallway, which now seemed like a maze. Doors lined up on both sides, more than could possibly fit in the building's structure. I tried the stairwell again. This time, it spiraled downward endlessly. I could hear footsteps behind me, slow and deliberate. Not taking any chances, I ducked into a random corridor. The signs made no sense. Floor 13, then floor -1. What is this, an Escher painting? Finally, I saw the exit sign glowing ahead. Relief washed over me as I pushed open the heavy door. But instead of the lobby, I was back on my floor, facing my room door with the number 237 staring back at me. Confrontation. Standing in front of the door was a man in an old-fashioned bellhop uniform. His eyes were hollow, and he reached out a hand as if offering to take my bags. "Your room is ready," he whispered. I backed away slowly. Nope, nope, nope. Desperate, I ducked into a small office off the hallway. Inside, boxes of old newspapers and documents were stacked haphazardly. I rifled through them, hoping to find a building layout or something useful. The revelation. What I found were articles dating back over a century, all detailing mysterious disappearances in this very hotel. Guests vanished without a trace, staff went mad, and the hotel was shut down multiple times. The latest article was from 1985, stating the hotel was condemned. But how could that be? It hit me like a ton of bricks. The hotel wasn't just haunted, it was a nexus of some kind, a place where the boundaries between dimensions blurred. Maybe connected to the quantum theories I was presenting? Parallel universes, overlapping realities? The note I found earlier now made sense. Leave while you can. But how? 8. Final escape. I remembered something from my research about navigating through chaotic systems. You need a fixed point, a constant. Fumbling through my bag, I found my laser pointer. Don't leave home without it. I aimed it down the hallway. The straight beam provided a reference. I walked towards it, ignoring the shifting walls and whispers. Focus. Just focus. The beam led me to an unmarked door. I pushed it open and stumbled outside into the cold morning air. Reaching the outside, I was in the back alley behind the hotel. The building looked decrepit, windows boarded up, the entrance sealed. I turned around, and the hotel looked nothing like the one I had entered. It was as if decades of decay had happened overnight. Sitting on the curb, I tried to make sense of it all. Was I hallucinating? Did I step through a rift in space-time? My rational mind was at war with what I'd just experienced. I called the authorities. They arrived quickly, but their expressions told me they didn't believe a word I said. "Sir, this building has been abandoned for years," one of them said. Aftermath. They escorted me to a local clinic to rest. Later, I checked online for any records of the hotel, but nothing matched what I'd found. No articles, no disappearances, just urban legends. Had I slipped into an alternate reality? Every logical explanation seemed insufficient. Some places aren't meant to be explored, I tell myself. Some stories are meant to remain untold. But here I am, sharing it with you all because maybe, just maybe, someone out there has experienced something similar. So, what's the takeaway here? Well, even if you're an expert in your field, even if you think you understand how the universe works, there are mysteries out there that defy all logic and reason. And that's both fascinating and terrifying. Conclusion. If any of you have had experiences that science can't explain, drop them in the comments below. I read every single one, and I'm genuinely curious to hear your stories. Maybe together we can piece together what's really going on. As I wrap this up, editing the footage back at home, I noticed something unsettling. In the background of my video, there's a shadow that doesn't belong. It moves independently, flickering at the edge of the frame. I didn't notice it while filming. A cold shiver runs down my spine. Is it happening again? I guess some stories don't end when you think they do. Stay curious, stay safe, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you want more stories and deep dives into the unknown. Until next time.